Greetings, YouTubers. So we got the inspection report back today, and a couple of objections. Haven't seen the report yet, so I'm not quite sure exactly what's on there, but it doesn't sound like a deal breaker. So I mean, I've got some electrical and plumbing skills, and that sounds like items that were on the list. So depending on what they are and how much effort it'll take, then I'll probably just fix them myself and move forward. So today I'm out in the garage, and I'm getting ready to start. I'm going to use the word inventorying. It's, I guess, selecting. I'm going to be selecting items that I think are going to be critical for survival. That sounds kind of harsh, but that's probably a good category for it. But things that would be nice to have, not necessarily critical for me to live, but would be useful and make life easier. And then finally, things that are not really all that important for my continued survival, but would contribute to my happiness and my well-being and my entertainment and those sorts of things. So right now I'm out of the car, and I've emptied it of all of its contents. I've been kind of carrying around stuff for, gosh, a long time. I think maybe as far back as September, October. No, it had to be later than that, because I didn't have the car then. Probably around I'm going to say early December, I think is when I bought this car. And I've had, like, camping gear in the back. So anyway, let's take a look at the car. I apologize for the rough panning and scanning and all of that stuff, but this is the back cargo area, and I've got the seats up currently. They fold down. And then that gives me a pretty large area. The other seat folds down as well. I'll get that. So that's it with the seat folded down. A couple of storage areas that I haven't quite decided what to do with. That's a pretty substantial hole. I think a good portion of my tools will fit down in here. Not all of them, but a good portion. And I'm going to consider my tools in the second category. They're not absolutely crucial to my survival. I mean, a few of them will be. A knife, a saw, probably, hatchet, or some combination of those in one device. But I plan to be building while I'm out, and I'm going to need my tools to do that. So I think I can put quite a bit of stuff in here, and then there's another smaller area here that has, the jacks and stuff for changing tires and all of that. I've got some clamps in here. So what I'm going to do is start putting things in here that I'm going to consider critical to my survival. I'll probably splice all of these together into one video and post it for you. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I went through my stuff, and this is the pile. These are the things that for one reason or another I felt like they were critical to survival. I think there's probably some that are really not, but I think that they would go a long way to enhancing chances of survival. And maybe it's kind of a scary way to talk about it, because I'm really not looking at this as a survival thing. I'm looking at it as a retirement thing, a vacation thing. But anyway, let's go over what I've selected. So this is 7 gallons of water. It's currently empty, but it'll hold 7 gallons. I think these were like, I don't know, 12, 15 bucks at Walmart. I think I'm probably going to get at least one more. Water, you know, I can get water out of a stream. You know, there's faucets. I think if you're creative, you can probably find sources of water. I just need to fill it and have some handy. This is some insulated coveralls and the little gray pouch here. This is rain gear. It's real simple, just vinyl stuff. A light, a first aid kit, some paracord. This is kind of a reflective tarp I thought would be useful for some kind of structure, temperature, weather protection. A hat and some heavily insulated gloves. The other things that I selected were a stove and some matches and some fuel. My old recurve bow and some arrows for providing meat. A machete for chopping things, wood, brush, protection. And then this is another kind of another first aid kit. It's probably redundant compared to the other one, but it had some things in it that the other one doesn't have. A flint and steel, and then a compass that also has kind of a rudimentary pair of binoculars built into it. And then these are my sleeping bags. I have 2. Very old, but very, very warm, very, very fluffy. Give me a soft place to lay on, and definitely something to keep me warm. I think these are good down to about -5 degrees, and I have 2 of them. So, and then of course the vehicle itself for shelter. So that's, I think, my first layer. Okay, next layer. I removed the primary stuff, and then what I've put back in are the things that I would consider kind of the secondary layer that, well, I don't think absolutely critical, or any kind of important things that would probably greatly enhance my quality of living and whatnot. But I have a box of camping gear that includes pots and pans and bowls and tablecloths and the rudiments of cooking and preparing food. I think there's an extension cord and a light bulb, that kind of thing in case there's shore power. A cooler would be nice. This currently has just dried food in it. A cell phone. A means to charge that cell phone. This green bag has the first aid kit and the reflective tarp, the compass, rain gear, and then I also added additional clothing, some warmer clothing, and just extras in case I get wet, or you know, the stuff that I have is currently being washed and hanging up to dry or something, so I have something else to wear. I have this tent, this brown bag in the back. This is a monster tent. I don't know, it sleeps 100. I'm exaggerating. I don't remember how many it sleeps, but I just remember it being big. It has metal poles. It's very sturdy. It's just big, bigger than I need, but it's what I have at the moment. A camp shovel, my camera gear, and some electronics, and then a 2-burner stove down here at the bottom. Just because I thought it would be nice to be able to cook 2 things at once. So that's tier 2. Okay, tier 3. I'm a little out of breath. 63 years old. Tend to get a little winded. So, I've talked about this telescope. And Man, I really want to take this. This is the German equatorial mount for it, and then a little box of accessories, including a little spotting scope that I made when I was a machinist years ago. And then all of my tools in the back. So that's a lot of crap. But I gotta tell you, I'm not sure that I can cut loose with any of it. I mean, if I were running from nuclear holocaust, okay, I'm gonna grab tier 1. If I'm just going out to experiment with retiring and see how I do, then tier 1 and tier 2. If I'm gonna do this full time forever, then it's gonna have to be tier 1, 2, and 3. So clearly I need a bigger vehicle or a trailer. I'm looking at larger SUVs like Tahoes, Excursions, the bigger SUVs. Suburban would be cool. I mean, especially if I could get a vintage one, that'd be really, really cool. Or this in a trailer, but then my daughter's going to need a car, so I'm thinking about maybe giving her this and buying myself something else. Excuse me, sorry, I'm still getting over a pretty nasty cold from last week. So, anyway, you see my dilemma, and I've got some ideas for solutions. It just takes a little capital. I've got to finish selling the house, selling the Harley, and then figure out a way to get all of this stuff into there or the next vehicle. So, anyway, till next time. Later.